I would argue that it's more easy than ever to build a company, right? Because you have platforms like Republic where you can get your community on board to fund you. You don't have to go and pitch 200 venture firms at the pre-seed stage and spend 500 hours doing it anymore, right?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Profit to the People, the official podcast of Republic, where we believe you have the power to invest in the future you believe in. I'm your host, Lisa Carmen Wang, Global Head of Brand at Republic, and I'll be taking you behind the scenes to meet the team, the founders, and investors in our community who share their insights on the future of investing and how they're bringing profit back to the people. Today, I am here with Alex Wang, who is the co-founder and CEO of Ember Fund. As many of us know, cryptocurrency is unapproachable to many people, and it's difficult for most people to understand Bitcoin, let alone follow the 2,000 plus cryptocurrencies on the market, and well over 90% of them are not even legitimate. So most everyday investors want exposure but don't know where to begin. And today, Alex, one of our Republic portfolio companies who successfully raised on our platform, is here to share a bit more about what Ember Fund is doing to solve this challenge and why he chose to crowdfund on Republic and what is next for them. We also have a really exciting announcement about the recent successes of Ember Fund, but I will turn it over to Alex to introduce himself and how he's solving this problem with his company. Alex, welcome.
Hey, Lisa, thanks for having me. Yeah, so maybe just a quick overview for those that don't know. We started Ember Fund roughly 3 years ago, and essentially we wanted to take the investment products that sophisticated investors use, whether it's hedge funds or quants or institutional investors, and make it available to everyone. 3 years ago when we started this, you could buy on the Coinbase of the world, but it was single asset, and there wasn't really an asset management layer or any education that went into helping retail mom and pop investors understand kind of what or why they were investing in certain assets. And so the core idea has always been the same for these 3 years, and it's evolved a ton to include more and more products, whether it's kind of the quant fund that rebalances between USD and Bitcoin, or a yield generating product that gets 20-25% on your money. And I think right now is just really interesting time to be in this world with just so many both on the legal side, but also on kind of the narrative of crypto and being completely transparent to be in this industry, right? With the whole GameStop fiasco, we see the importance of being completely decentralized, which is kind of how we built our infrastructure. And then also kind of just a bigger narrative around crypto as being a thing, right? With PayPal coming in, with Elon coming in with his treasury and all this crazy stuff happening. And then also, as I mentioned on the legal side, with Republic really leading the way in giving all retail investors access to different products that were previously reserved for wealthy people. So very interesting time to be in this world, and we're really excited for the future.
So I think what's really cool about Ember Fund is really you're allowing the average investor to essentially invest like a hedge fund, right? Like the sophistication that hedge funds and institutions and that advantage that they typically have, you've turned that through your technology, through the compliance structures that you've put in place, you've given that access to the investor. Is that correct?
Exactly. And the ethos is kind of similar to Republic, right? Is giving retail investors access to whether it's investment strategies or products that sophisticated investors use. And so, the funny thing about crypto is the original ethos of Bitcoin was to democratize access to finance and banking, right? But I mean, we've seen that in some regards, but not in the way that kind of we envisioned it, which is these crypto native products, make it easy, approachable, and frictionless. And so, that's always been kind of our mission. And we're really excited for that.
And what is it that gives you guys a competitive advantage?
So there's a couple of things. Number one is the technology that we built, right? So it's almost like a counterintuitive to think that we can be completely non-custodial, but also provide this kind of asset management. If you own your own funds completely, how do we apply a rebalance onto that, right? And so we've partnered with quite a few other companies and also built a lot of smart contract technology in-house to enable that. And that piece of it is not easy to do. And it took us almost 3 years to figure out. So that's one piece. And then the second piece is the investment managers that we have on our team and partnered with are truly best in class in understanding how to not only build the products, but communicate with retail and just making it like really simple to understand. And so I'd say those are kind of the two big pieces. And to date, there isn't another mobile app like ours on the market just yet.
That's amazing. And so why did you guys choose to crowdfund on Republic when you were first raising?
Yeah, so I think, raising from VCs is a pain in the ass. And I think, you see it in the media that, this company raised this amount, but in the background, it's brutal, especially at a pre-seed or seed round. And so we didn't want to go down that route, just because it's just the opportunity cost of spending, hundreds of hours in such a critical point in our company, was a decision that we made that we didn't want to do. Furthermore, we have a community of people. I mean, at the time, a small community of people that we believe would back us, right? Our users, and then also the Republic community. And so the core heart of our business has always been to democratize finance, right? So why not do an equity round with Republic to allow normal people a piece of the company? And we're super excited. Glad we did that because it worked out beautifully, right? So we raised a small round, I guess a year ago. Yeah, we closed a year ago. And it worked out beautifully because it gave us a little bit of ammunition to scale up. And then also our community was super excited to participate in it. And, one of the downfalls of Reg CF is a lot of companies aren't willing to be transparent. Obviously, you have to put everything on the table. We didn't ever have a problem with that. So yeah, it worked out beautifully, and we were successful in the raise. In fact, we attracted some VCs from doing the Reg CF.
Yeah, that's great. And I think to your point of transparency, it really shows that you guys are walking the walk, in terms of fostering a true community and communicating what people need to know to that community of investors. Just like even a couple investors who did invest in that round, I just want to share some of the reviews and reasons why they invested. So this was from an investor, Jesse Velasquez, and he said, "I believe that cryptocurrency will be an important part of our economic future, and Ember Fund will make investing into this young technology and industry easier for the public." Another investor, Carrie Dye, said, "When cryptos rebound, the herd will be looking for easy entry into the crypto space. With the correct marketing and word of mouth, Ember Fund should lead the pack for new and experienced digital asset investors everywhere." So it seems like you are doing right by your investors, and you have some also exciting news about your most recent raise. So would you like to share that success?
Yep. So we're pretty proud to announce that we secured a $5.3 million venture round. And we have some really, really amazing investors that are participating in this round. We have BAM.VC, Richard John from BAM.VC, who were early investors in Honey, which got sold to PayPal. And we also have the CEO of PayPal, the ex-CTO of TikTok and Blockfolio, Anthos Capital, and then a few others. And so, we're going to be taking this and really working on improving the product experience even more and scaling up. So we're going to have a big 2021.
Congratulations. That's really amazing and something to be very proud of. And with these investors that you brought in, what in particular were you looking at? What were you vetting out? Because, as you said, you started with crowdfunding and bringing on your community of investors, and things change when you bring on institutional investors. So how are you able to balance that and vet out the right people to be on your cap table?
Yep. So we have a really good relationship with every single one of these investors. So it was not something where we went out and pitched, 100 venture firms. And if you kind of look at the list, it's heavily weighted in consumer products. So Honey and Anthos Capital, obviously one of the biggest, if not the biggest consumer product exit in LA. And then also Blockfolio and TikTok, those are kind of obvious in terms of being in the crypto consumer space. And then we also have a large blockchain, top 40 blockchain that has invested. So kind of had 60-70% consumer, and then 20-30% that are in crypto but consumer specific. And then we also had, as I mentioned, kind of a large blockchain invest. So kind of mainly on consumer with a little bit of crypto industry expertise, and we're really happy with that mix right now. But it was pretty strategic.
That's great. Is there any important lessons that you learned from your fundraising or even just building this company through this journey?
Any lessons? Oh, wow. There's quite a few. That's a big question.
Let's say specifically about even just this fundraising journey and how you were.
Yeah, I think I learned a ton on fundraising. So I would say we kind of went backwards, right? Where in the crypto industry, for some reason, we've kind of built this reputation for raising a ton of money out of the gate and then essentially not doing anything with it. I mean, if you've seen all the projects in 2017, let's be honest, like 90% of them either went away or, were scammed. And so I would say, and we did the opposite, right? We grinded to build a product. Our product's been live for 2.5 years now, and then went backwards and then raised funding. And so I think that's one lesson here is go out. Things are so cheap these days in terms of cost to build product, right? If you're going to be in technology, you should have a working prototype and or users before anything, right? I think there's a lot of founders, unless you're CEO of Google or whatever, build the product first, do the work first. And if you're able to get to the point where you have something interesting, I would argue that it's more easy than ever to build a company, right? Because you have platforms like Republic where you can get your community on board to fund you. You don't have to go and pitch 200 venture firms at the pre-seed stage and spend 500 hours doing it anymore, right? You have people that believe in you. You can get started, get some traction, and then go to venture people and say, hey, but only if they add value. Say, hey, we have a profitable business where we have product market fit, and then raise from them. Then from the B round to the D, you don't need VCs. There's a ton of financing options that don't require you to give up equity. Then when you sell, it's, use a SPAC, right? So things are easier for founders that have built product, but they will continue to be hard for founders that don't want to do the work up front. And so I think that's probably the biggest lesson.
Yeah, I really like that you highlighted that, because I do know that you guys built the product with a limited budget and you secured partnerships and you executed over 10 million in transactions through your platform in 9 months. And even before you went out to raise funding. And
Yep.
to your point, a lot of people just fake it till you make it, right? That's the way you do it in the VC world. And it's just a lot of hot air. So
and we put in, I think, $15,000 each of the founders. So it's a good chunk of change, but it's workable, right? For starting something. So I think, you don't need to spend out of pocket, $1 million each to get something going. So very doable with limited budget, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. And just on a bit of a personal note, what was the reason that you started Ember Fund, from a truly like personal mission standpoint?
For me, previously I was working at a computer vision AI company, which was an amazing experience, and that's where I met my co-founders. But what I realized is that, AI is in some regards, and this is arguable, centralizing power with people that are, nation states or large organizations that have the data and the capability to leverage that data. Crypto was a complete opposite of that. And that was just way more exciting to me, is to even the playing field, to kind of go up to bat for the little guy. And that's always been kind of interesting to me. And I wanted to build something that had, obviously a big growing market to support a business, but also to have, a positive impact on the world. And I couldn't think of anything, frankly, more exciting than giving a hedge fund to someone without a bank. And so, that's kind of personally why I started Ember Fund.
That's great. And so aligned with our mission at Republic as well.
Yep.
And lastly, what would you say to potential investors who might be interested in Ember Fund? What's exciting on the horizon? What's coming up?
Yeah, so we are doing quite a bit of stuff. We're launching quite a few new products. So we're launching a V2 of a yield farming product, which will generate, I know it sounds ridiculous, but 30 to 50% returns. And then we also have a quant fund for Ethereum that we're launching, also a DeFi index. And so a lot of products on the horizon. So that's going to be upcoming in the next couple of months, but look out for that.
Awesome. Any words you want to share with your past investors or potential investors?
So past investors, thank you guys for supporting us, and we're working super hard to grow this company. And for future investors, I guess we are on a pretty amazing trajectory, and so we'd love for you guys to join us in the next round on Republic. And feel free to email us if you guys have any questions about the company or the raise or anything.
Awesome. So if you want to find out more about Ember Fund, you can go to emberfund.io. You can check them out on iOS or Android, download the app, check it out, learn how to invest like a cryptocurrency hedge fund. Alex, thank you so much for joining us on Profit to the People, and so excited to see where your company goes.
Thanks for having me.
This podcast is provided for educational purposes only by Republic and Republic.co. Nothing discussed should be construed as legal, tax, accounting, or investment advice. The views of the presenters may not be the views of Republic and its affiliates. Always consult with trusted professional advisors before making investments. Private investments are inherently illiquid and may result in a total loss. All rights reserved.